So this is the get ready for the Ayurvedic cleanse preparation call because, well, in a cleanse, just like I think the setup, the getting ready is important. Like the beginning and the end of a cleanse is actually really, really important. And I think in terms of the planetary energy of where we are in the world, it's an amazing time to do this physiological cleanse because there is a subtler vibrational dimension to the cleanse where the idea of the Ayurvedic cleanse is really, we're all like going, especially if you're in, fast-paced place like New York or just in the digital era period, we're going from Zoom call to Zoom call, or, if you're not going from place to place, we're doing meeting to meeting. And so our cells are often like this, where our cells are very clenched up and we're holding on in a sense, almost subconsciously for like dear life. We're never letting this happen where the cells can just open up and release what it's holding. And over time, if we just continue in this mode, it's like we get this accumulation. And I've been really, that word accumulation has been really resonating with me a lot, because as we go through this space-time reality of being human on planet Earth through this physiology, we are accumulating impressions, experiences, information, emotional events, physiological events, so much, right? And not really having the time to process. And so a cleanse is a time, the idea is to give your body and the cellular intelligence a chance to just kind of shine its light upon itself so that it can do this and release what it's holding. So we're in the time where the United States, actually, especially in the United States, we're going through what we call the Pluto return, astrological term, but Pluto has like 248 year orbit. And so it's a big event when the Pluto comes back to the natal sign. And we're calculating as though United States were a person with the birth date in July 4th. I believe it's, what is it, 17? Somebody knows history better than me, that the actual day, the year that the Independent Declaration of Independence was signed. So, and it's hitting United States in the second house, which is all about finance and wealth and all of that. So you can see the financial reset happening in the world. And recently, just like 2 days ago, March 23rd, the Pluto changed signs, which is a huge event energetically that impacts every one of us and in the world at large. Pluto is the furthest planet out. So whenever outer planets change signs, it has a major impact on the world we live in, as well as in our personal lives. So Pluto is all about revolution. Whatever it touches, it revolutionizes. It disintegrates in order to give a new birth. And so we all have Pluto somewhere in our natal charts. So it would be kind of useful to see where it is. If you go to any, reliable astrological site, it allows you to download your own natal chart. And so you can see where Pluto is in your natal, in which house it is. So for me, my Pluto is in my 7th house of partnerships. And so this arena of life has been an area that catalyzes my evolution in my life. And so in the world, Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn, and also Saturn changed signs. And so going from Capricorn into Aquarius is like, Capricorn is all about structure, right? All those established power establishments in the world, like the financial and the educational, and all those arenas are going through major shifts and transformations because of the technology that's been coming out, and just because we're in this kind of time. And so from Capricorn to Aquarius is like going from top-down society to more horizontal, more humanitarian, more power to the people. And also Aquarius is a sign of technology. So innovation, technology, and we're seeing that obviously, right? And in just such a short span of time, technologies like ChatGPT, it's changing everything on the internet. So we can see that. And so it's a revolutionary time to be alive as a human being. I just wanted to set that as a backdrop because it is a grand time of new beginnings. Not only did the Pluto change sign, but Saturn changed signs. So Saturn is again about where we are, well, we bring a degree of seriousness and commitment. And Saturn is also helping us to manifest from, the dimension of the ethereal into concrete reality. So it's a wonderful time for manifesting as well. And in March 21st, that was the spring equinox, the Aries new moon that happened. Aries new moon heralds the energetic new year for the entire. So it's like kind of like we just had New Year's, energetically speaking. And so it's a grand time of new beginnings. So I say all this to say, let's set a new intention, right? Set a new intention for who you want to become. And you can, whether you do the cleanse full on or not, it's a great time to set a new intention. And if you do the cleanse, it is a wonderful time to really meditate deeply and attune to what you're being called to step into, right? The new identity you're being asked to step into in this very potent, powerful time that we've all come to. And for each person, for each of you, it'll be a different, something different is calling you. But nevertheless, it is a collective time of brand new beginnings. So, okay, so do you see the link that I just dropped in the chat? If you click on it, it'll give you the link to the guide I created for you for this phase, just the preparatory phase. And I can actually share the screen for that, right? So just give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the screen. Okay, perfect, thank you. So yeah, it's my gift to you because I know some people, many people have not been able to do a live call, but so the main thing I wanted to, share with you, the Ayurvedic cleanse is wonderful and gentle. It's not one of those starvation diets where you have to deprive yourself, but it is, you get to eat. So don't worry, you get to eat, a nourishing diet. But the idea is to cause the least amount of stress for your digestive system. Ayurveda, first of all, is a wonderful, 5,000-year-old, at least 5,000-year-old holistic healing system that is the sister science to the science of yoga. And it's based on the 5 elements. And can you all see? Okay, perfect. All right. So first of all, okay, this is the schedule for the 5 days that we'll be spending next week. So every day I'm going to try to keep it like half an hour, as I know during the week it's you guys are all busy. But I just wanted to, because it's overwhelming to have like one long 3-hour Zoom session, right? So I wanted to explain each aspect of the cleanse for you in like a broken down half an hour nugget. So starting Wednesday, it's going to be about, so there's, 4 stages to the cleanse, right? 4 stages to the cleanse, right? So first is the preparation phase, right? So then during this preparation phase, it's really about eliminating those foods and beverages that are, a stressor, kind of, caffeine, alcohol, the processed foods. So, gradually releasing that from your diet. And then there will be active cleansing. So in terms of a structure, we're going to do it nice and kind of like a gentle, not so long, easy to do cleanse. And so I recommend, we're doing a 5 to 6 days. So it's great to break it down into 2 days preparation, right? And then 2 days cleansing, and then, 2 days of reflection. And then after that, we want to try to maintain, after the cleanse, it's important to just try to maintain the, healthy diet, for about 2 weeks at least. And you want to, ideally, we want to maintain that for as long as we can, right? So it is possible to do a 3-day quick and easy cleanse. If you just do preparation one day, active cleansing one day, and reintroduction one day, that's also possible. So I wanted to just, because you all have different lifestyles, and to be able to structure it in a way that works for your schedule. And in India, where, we can just like check into a clinic and do a really luxuriously long cleanse, then, of course, we can do it in a 21-day spread. But I recommend for all of you living busy lives, either 3-day or 5 to 6 days, right? I like odd numbers. That's why I call it the 5-day cleanse, but it's preparation phase, so, and I wanted to give you this PDF now so that you can order some of the physical items that will, we got to have the stuff before we start the cleanse, right? So doing your shopping before, and some of the things you can order from online and have it ready, so that when it comes to the cleanse, you can just, use them, have them. This cleanse is really based on the mono diet, right? And it's much less provoking than many forms of cleanses. So it's, you get to eat, and it really suits whatever constitution type you are. This is really kind of, it's very simple, that you can just create this khichdi, and it is designed to cause your digestion the least amount of stress, right? And one day, even one of the 5 days, I think I'd like to do like a little cooking session and show you exactly how to make that khichdi. That would be a fun cooking session. And for those of you, if you are in the menstrual cycle, it's probably good. You can be in your menstrual period cycle when you're doing the cleanse, but it is probably, good to do it after the cycle. Yeah. So choosing your timing. So looking at your calendar, it's good to really choose a time when you are able to be a little bit relaxed. Even if you can continue to work. Yes, it's not like you have to stop everything and just do the cleanse, but that would be unrealistic. But choosing a time when you can actually really, give yourself time to relax and allow yourself to maybe do a little restorative yoga or have a little time for meditation, that would be ideal. It doesn't have to be an all-day thing, but the idea is to give your whole system a little bit of a break. And so the preparation phase is really about, cleaning up the lifestyle, right? And so we live in a culture where we use caffeine to wake up and alcohol to wind down. And so we're depending on these substances, and it's, both of these substances do have an impact on our chemistry. And we tend to get very addicted to them. And so the liver is constantly filtering and processing, and it's wonderful to give the liver a cleanse. And so I know it's maybe daunting, but it's not like you have to deprive yourself. So if you usually have like 3 cups of coffee, okay, make it 1 cup. And if you can, it's actually a very good thing to vary that morning drink and try a non-caffeinated beverage. And actually it's very hydrating, and you'll see it's very rebalancing for the gut lining in your stomach and small intestine. Right, so we have two days for the preparation phase of your cleanse, right? And then we have the active phase of the cleanse, the heart of the cleanse. And I'm going to be discussing when we get to that time, the morning routine, the evening routine, your daily list of like optimal things to do, optional things to do, like that. So again, I want to make it so that it's not like, if you don't do this, it's not about making you feel guilty, right? It's really just about, again, serving your body and allowing it to relax. So in Ayurvedic medicine, we use oil because the oil, see, our cellular membrane is made of lipids, right? It's made of lipids. And so using oil, it really disarms the cellular membrane. And oil, rather than like those commercial lotions, when you put it on the skin, it has going through the 7 layers of the skin, it has a transdermal effect on your nervous system. And so our nervous system really benefits from beneficial, good quality oil. And it really has a calming effect on our entire nervous system. And we don't realize how jacked up our nervous system is, and so Abhyanga, we call, oil application, external oil application, Abhyanga. And this is one of the practices that you're probably not doing right now that is very anti-aging. I put that word anti-aging in there because it is very much, when you accumulate toxins in your system, you are quickening the aging system, aging in your cells. And so in the morning, doing the Abhyanga before we start your day is a wonderful practice. And there'll be again a live and all about which oil is good for you and all of that. And actually, I'll go into it now, so because it is related to what you have to buy, right? So I'll get to that in a moment. So it's very good to keep your activities quiet, not to go out too much, and surrounding yourself with things that are relaxing and uplifting. Your aromatherapy oils, your just trying to keep an easy schedule for these 3 days or 5 days or however long you choose to do. And intense emotions is, of course, if they come up, the cleanse may trigger it, especially with this Pluto transit that's happening. So that's why, the meditation, the restorative yoga, the shavasana, these are going to be your good friend, having a little eye cover, all those things. It's good to just have them on hand so that, you can rest, rest in capital, bold, highlighted letters. Giving yourself enough time to rest is so important. This is when the cells are opening up, right? Stop the live stream. All right, we're in the safe zone. So if you want to mute yourself and just have, just pause for some questions here if you have. We're not on any public platform here, so feel free to, if you have, you can raise your hand on the reactions, or you can raise your hand physically so that I can see you all. Yeah. A few things to recommended shopping list, right? We're going to be making something called the khichdi. Khichdi is, it's really divine food, really. It is the tridoshic, meaning it does not aggravate any of your 5 elemental bioenergies. And we're going to be, and it gives you enough protein and enough complex carbohydrates so that it's not spiking your blood sugar, and you're getting the easy to digest form of protein. We're going to be keeping a mono diet. And if, mainly we're going to be eating that khichdi, but you can, there'll be some those spices you can use, and you can also change, if you get bored, then having various vegetables that your company, I recommend steamed vegetables along with your khichdi. That will be, you can have it two meals a day or 3 meals a day. And the breakfast, you can also have your old-fashioned oatmeal. We recommend not using dairy, just hot water, because right now we are transitioning from the cold season of kapha, right, into the spring season. And in this season, kapha is the combination of earth and water, right? And because all through the winter, the cold was keeping the kapha in a solidified state. And now as the sun comes out, today is a very cold day in New York, but as it becomes more and more into spring, the liquid portion of kapha, it liquefies. And so we all start getting this drippy nose and congestion and all of that. And so dairy is very mucus forming. And so during the cleanse, it's highly recommended that, you can vary your, instead of just having khichdi 3 meals a day, you can have the oatmeal in the morning, but just use hot water instead of the dairy, or even plant milks. It's probably better to just stay with your hot water. And then we can spice that oatmeal up with your favorite fruit. You can, I think cooked apple is probably the best. It has pectin. It helps you to cleanse your colon as well. You can use cinnamon, you can use nutmeg, you can use cardamom, and you can, make it tasty. It's not like, you're going to have a completely bland, boring diet, but it is, all about giving your digestion a break. So yeah, and we're going to be following. I'm sorry, I thought this PDF contained the shopping list, but I think I forgot to include it. So both those links will be in the follow-up email, and also at night, every night, we're going to be taking triphala, which means 3 fruits, right? Phala means fruits, and 3 means 3 for the 3 doshas. 3 herbs that are designed to balance the 3 doshas. And so just a quick overview of Ayurvedic medicine. And some of you who, know a little bit about it, it'll be a review. It seems so simple, and it's kind of like yoga, right? Yoga seems so simple, like the sun salute and all of that. But then as you go deeper into it, subtler and subtler aspects of it keep revealing itself to you. And that's the beauty of this medicine. So Ayurveda, if it's the first time you're hearing this word, it comes from 2 compound, 2 Sanskrit words merged into one. So ayuhu, and due to Sanskrit combination, becomes Ayurveda. This is the grammatical rule, so the H becomes an R. But anyway, Ayu means life force. And all of you who do yoga, you know another word that means life force beginning in P. Any idea? Prana, yes, prana, right? And so this is the beauty of Sanskrit, is that, when a language has many different words for one English word, it means that culture has a lot more distinctions about it, right? So in English, it's like life force, okay. But in the culture of yoga, it's like prana is everywhere, and it can be disembodied, right? It can be in the ether, it can be in the atmosphere. Plants emit prana into the atmosphere. We can use it like that. But ayu is specifically the life force within an embodied being, right? And the embodied state has a finite lifespan, right? And sometimes we act as if we live forever, but all of us have, we have an expiration date for this body, right? And so the science of Ayurveda has also been translated as the science of longevity, because it is about prolonging, through balancing, how to, prolong and thrive in this embodied form and have the longest, richest, happiest life possible, So, and Veda means organized body of knowledge. So there's another word in Sanskrit which means knowledge, which is jnana, Jnana. And jnana is the source for the English word knowledge, Know, right? Jnana, or knowledge. Jnana is personal knowledge. It's about personal experience, right? Experiential knowledge is jnana, right? In the yogic culture, we never consider to be knowledge that which is just intellectual knowledge, book knowledge. That's not just considered information, right? It has to be digested into a working knowledge at least, and knowledge that has been applied to your life is jnana. Right? But Veda is organized body of knowledge that has been many generations of scholars and enlightened beings and yogis have contributed to codifying this body of knowledge. And that's why Ayurveda is a body of knowledge, right? Veda, a body of knowledge. And so I liked, this is my own definition, is like the science of optimizing your embodied life while living on this planet, optimizing your embodied life, right? So how do we optimize it? So we have these 5 elements, and this is from the subtlest all the way to the densest, right? Ether is simply space. And as you go deeper and subtler into your spiritual journey, as you embrace yoga from physical practice to a more spiritual path, in the beginning, the earth element is very important. Like where you put your arms, the position, the physical position of the poses are very important, right? The precision of it. And we work all of that in the, equinox class or whatever it is that, it's just really the precision of alignment and the physiology, the physical dimension of the practice. But as you go deeper, the ether element becomes so important. And I'm experiencing that now where it's like, the ether keeps it draws you deeper and subtler into like another world opens up and another world opens up. And you realize how deep this ether goes. It's not just space. It's not just dead space. There is so much life in ether. There is so much knowledge in ether, And so from ether all the way, right? This is like a stepping down. When ether becomes air, right? There's movement. There is kinetic energy. And so air governs your nervous system. Vata, which is the subtlest of all three doshas, it governs your nervous system and governs your, Vata people can be clairvoyant if they're imbalanced. They can be clairaudient. They have that subtlety. Vata people are very creative, but sometimes they're, if it's out of balance, they can be frenetic in their movements, speak too fast, think too fast, learn so fast, and forget so fast also, right? So Vata, right? And then when air, this friction of air produces heat, and there's a combustive energy that is fire, right? Agni. So fire, and from the fire, condensation happens. So Pitta is a very interesting combination of fire and water. And so it seems to be opposite elements, but in our body, fire can't exist in its combustive form, right? It has to be contained in the liquid medium. And so Pitta is the fiery dosha in the body, right? And it's, you can think of it like digestive enzymes, catalytic elements like the hormones. And Pitta is also, it governs the sight, because fire is also light as well as heat, and so Pitta governs digestion, metabolism, as well as body heat, as well as complexion, because also that's another dimension of Pitta, and your sight, right? And then water and earth. So when water stops flowing and congeals, then the solid earth element is formed. And you can think of these like not just like clods of earth or just literal water. Think of it in terms of frequencies of energy, right? Because we're entering the quantum era. So think of these as like, kind of a group of frequency. Air is a subtle group of frequencies. Fire is a certain frequency. Water is a certain frequency of being, right? And earth is another frequency of being. And so earth provides structure, stability, right? Everything ST, stability, steadfastness, right? And so the bones in your body are a form of kapha, right? Also the adipose tissue, the fat, in your body is also kapha. And we need the fat. Our culture hates fat, but it is so necessary to have a certain amount of adipose tissue in the body. It's a buffer. There's also a lubricating, right, element of kapha, right? Kapha lubricates your joints. And as we get older, everything starts to dry out. And so as the older we get, we need more and more kapha to help us lubricate the joints and to give us that kind of nourishing energy of the earth and water elements, right? So, so we can look at it like this also, right? So Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is ether, space, and air. Pitta is fire and water, and Kapha is earth and water, right? And so this is a crash course. So if I had to just really, aside from the doshas, just one thing to share with you, it is the importance of Agni, a key principle of Ayurveda. And Agni is biological fire. And this is very, very important during the cleanse because when the Agni is low and during a seasonal juncture, there is a tendency for the Agni to kind of be fluctuating. And each of you have, according to your constitution, a different way that this Agni behaves in our body. And by the way, if you don't know your Ayurvedic constitution, you can go to visionaryyoga.com/dosha quiz. Let's see if we can, yeah. And again, I will send that in the follow-up email too, so that you can know what is your dominant constitution, right? Because each kind of each doshic type has a particular behavior of the Agni. For example, if you're Vata dominant, right? If you're Vata dominant person, then your Agni is like sometimes on, sometimes off. We call this Vishama Agni, right? Sometimes voracious appetite, sometimes no, not hungry at all. Sometimes you can digest the food, sometimes not at all. Sometimes you have the appetite, but you can't digest the food. And so Vata people tend to get very bloated. Sometimes the gassiness is a problem for Vata people, right? If you're a Pitta person like me, you're blessed with a strong digestion, sometimes too strong, and you're like, I gotta eat. It's like, I have to eat. And if anybody, if there's an irritating event, it's like you can lose it. So I always tell my loving partners that don't talk to me until I've had my lunch. if I'm really in that mode, it's like really important for Pitta people to have their lunch on time, the largest meal of the day on time, so that it's very, very important to honor that Pitta time of your day, which is around noon to 2 p.m. And then Kapha people, you tend to have lower Agni. So we call this Manda Agni, which is kind of, I guess we can call it a low heat, right? It's not quite strong enough to digest all the food. So it may take, for Kapha people, it's often beneficial to skip the breakfast because sometimes you're still digesting the meal from the night before. Right. So especially during the Kapha season. So everybody has a different metabolic speed, different digestive speed. And it's important to know this about your metabolism. Right. And so another important, this comes from my textbook, so pardon the quality of the slide here, but this is really important to understand why we're doing the cleanse, because see, if our digestion is weak, and if we're, eating late at night, if we're eating the wrong combination of foods, and we're stressing the digestive system, and we're continuing that lifestyle, then that undigested food can sit in our digestive system. And this accumulation we call ama. Right? Ama is this morbid substance that can circulate within your system and lodge in the most vulnerable parts of your body. So let's say, and it's important to understand, Ayurveda really talks about food combination, the right food combination. So one of the food combinations to avoid is dairy plus meat, or dairy plus fish, dairy plus really any complex protein, because dairy by itself is a very complete food. It's actually meant to be eaten by itself, and ideally during the daytime when your digestion is strong. If you combine dairy and meat, there is like the body trying to handle both of the things at once, creates kind of a war in your digestive system, and it's apt to produce toxins in your system. And so let's say you have a cheeseburger late at night, right? And so then that, the body can't handle it quite. You're going to sleep on like a partially digested stomach. And so that ama can putrefy in your system, and then it can circulate. And we all have genetically predetermined kind of weak spaces in our body, either from a previous injury, from a genetic blueprint from your parents, your ancestors. We have a vulnerable part of the body. And so the ama can lodge and start the pathogenesis. And this is what this slide is showing, right? And so over time, it's like drip, 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 right? We don't realize it, But this is why it's like this insidious accumulation of chronic, right? The chronic disorder is mostly because of lifestyle, mostly because of lifestyle. It's so important to complete the digestion at the end of the day, right? And then in the morning to make sure, right? If you look at the mirror, in the bathroom mirror, and you stick your tongue out and see there's a thick white or yellow coating, that's a good sign that there is ama sitting in your system. So check that. You don't have to do it on Zoom on camera now, but I would check, in the morning, when you wake up, before you brush your teeth, go and then check your tongue. And, amazingly, I don't have this. Okay, there is a map of the body on the tongue. And, the back of the tongue is the colon, right? And so you can see actually if, which part of your body is toxic right now, where the ama is lodged. So these are all the kind of the clinical ways we as Ayurvedic practitioners gauge, the body gives you signs, right? And this is a good way to catch the disease before it becomes a full-blown, disease with a name. Right. So that dosha can accumulate. First, it's accumulating and accumulating. And then there is a stage in which it overflows, right? Like the bucket fills up and it overflows and it spreads to various tissues of your body. And then it starts to kind of like stick to a particular part of your body that then the pathogenesis starts, right? It finds a weak spot in your body, and then the deposition happens, and deposition happens, and deposition happens, and that ama starts to mingle with the particular tissue, and then the little plant becomes, gradually becomes a full-blown disorder. So we want to prevent that. And that is the reason for doing the Ayurvedic cleanse, right? And so we are in this seasonal juncture. We're entering the spring season. And so these cleanses are traditionally done during the juncture of the seasons. Why? Because whenever we're in transition from one kind of time to another kind of time, the gap here contains there's this instability in the gap, which is both a danger and an opportunity, right? And we want to mitigate the danger and, expand the opportunity. So the cleanse is a way of doing that. It's a way of taking hold of this, intermediary time to not just physiologically, but also, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually do a reset for ourselves. And I think it's a wonderful year to do it because it's such a fast moving year, right? We've come through the lockdown of 2020, 2021, 2022 was like back and forth, back and forth. Now 2023 is like full flow. And it's almost like we need a time to kind of pause and stop because it's such a fast moving time. Why is it called medicine? Okay, that's a great question. Sorry, I just saw yeah. So why is Ayurveda called a medicine? Well, it's because it is a medicine. In the United States, Ayurveda is just practiced as kind of a spa treatment. And most people who've known of Ayurveda hear it from maybe a spa or massage or whatever. Or maybe a product line of like Vata, Pitta, Kapha oils. But in India, in the original culture in which Ayurveda was birthed, there are Ayurvedic medicine hospitals. It is a primary medical, primary healthcare medicine. And I had the privilege of studying Ayurvedic medicine 5.5 years in India. And I got to intern in the Ayurvedic hospital. And we literally had to do the rounds, from the obstetrics to the pediatrics to the surgical. Yes, there's this Ayurvedic surgical ward and then Panchakarma department. And we make the round to learn really about, it's such a deep science with specialties like that. So Ayurveda, again, it looks so simple from the outside. It's like just 3 doshas, but then, it is a medicine because within each of the 3 doshas, there are 5 divisions, 5 types of vata, 5 types of pitta, 5 types of kapha, and then, the herbology of it, the physiology of it, the anatomy of it, and the pathology of it. it gets very involved. There is a precision to it that, I'm not sharing with you because it's overwhelming, but it took 5.5 years to study. And it's like, I barely feel like I scratched the surface, but it is an amazing, it is called the mother of all healing, Indo-centric, but it is, medical systems or healing systems like homeopathy came from Ayurveda in a sense. It really, I think this way of capturing the 5 elemental frequency in the body is actually, it's very genius, because when we look at the biochemical model of medicine in the West, so you isolate the active component of a plant, right? And we say that's the thing, that's the magical part of the plant. So we remove that active component and then we just concentrate it into a pill. Well, now you've removed the intelligent package that was in that plant medicine, because within the plant there is a check and balance, right? And because nature always provides for every stimulating kind of herb, there is a built-in buffer of something that is grounding and calming, and so we just remove the active principle. And that's why the pharmaceutical medicines have so many side effects that is so hard to manage, and so that's why doing the cleanse, it's Ayurveda and all the Eastern medicines, the forte is really in prevention. Yes, it takes more time, it takes more discipline, but anyway, we need to install these habits and disciplines and way of reading the energetics of the food so that, we can learn to balance ourselves on the go. And one more thing I'll say about Ayurvedic nutrition is that the Western nutrition focuses a lot on what the substance is, right? What you're going to ingest, again, the biochemical breakdown of the calories and the vitamins and all of that. And that is important to know, but you can take the best, the most, nutritious food, high nutrient content food. But if your digestive system is not operating optimally, if your digestive system is compromised because of ama, because of low agni, then you're wasting, that food can turn into ama because it can produce the toxins, right? And the whole point is let's make the mechanism more efficient. Does it make sense? Yeah. So really, if your digestive mechanism is clean and efficient, then you can have whatever you eat, you extract the maximum nutrient from that. So Ayurveda emphasizes that, and yes, of course, we want to pay attention to whatever, within what you have access to. Let's get let's ingest the most nutritious, balancing food you can. But it's important to pay attention to the mechanism as well. And I promised, I think I'll talk about the oils. So take the dosha quiz that I will send in the email tomorrow. And if you are Vata predominant, and also if you're having symptoms of Vata, like feeling ungrounded, dry skin, constipation, just feeling ungrounded in general, it would be good to use organic sesame oil. Sesame oil is like the king of oils, really. Not the toasted kind that you make for dressing, but not the dark brown one, but the light brown cold pressed sesame oil. And that is like, there is some calcium content in that sesame oil that is very beneficial for you, but also sesame oil is heating and very heavy and grounding. So in Ayurvedic, a lot of the oil treatments for Vata disorders, such as osteoarthritis, such as any muscular joint issues, a lot of those treatments are done with sesame oil based medicated herbal oils. So sesame oil is the best for Vata. And then Pitta people, either sunflower or coconut oil. It's cooler, it's lighter, and I would recommend you to do the oil massage from right after you take a warm shower. Or if you don't mind that your shower and your bathtub gets a little oily, then ideally you do the oil massage first, and then you take the shower, so that when the pores open, the oil can penetrate the pores open, and the oil can have that transdermal effect. but some of it will happen even if you just, hot out of the shower, you can apply it to your skin, right? Lastly, if you are kapha, then as safflower, I believe, is the oil. And I will also give you a link to yes, I would recommend you get the triphala, right? And then the khichdi. So if you're out of country and you don't have access to the mung bean, then it's okay. Use lentil. You can use some spices. The lentil is a little bit more, I think the skin on the lentil is a little bit more tougher. So just cooking it well, and you can use the spices. In Ayurveda, we use an herb called hing, 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 or asafoetida, which cuts the gas forming property of any bean, renders it kind of less vata provoking. Between now and the beginning of the cleanse, it'd be nice just to, I see 2 questions. All right, let me address that. So Rachel says, what's the textbook called and how can we find it? Yeah, it's called the Ayurveda textbook. Literally, you can find it on Amazon, but it's kind of expensive. It's like $40. But it's well worth it if you really want to go deep. And if you want a lighter read on Ayurveda, I highly recommend Ayurveda, The Science of Self-Healing. It's a maroon book. It's less expensive and much smaller, book to read, but you really get a lot. Ayurveda, The Science of Self-Healing, on Amazon. And what are the 3 fruits we'll be taking? Yes, I forgot to. Yeah, it's called triphala, and it is a mild laxative, much more than just a cleanser. This is the beauty of triphala, is that usually herbs that are cleansing, not very rejuvenating. It's not about tonifying your cells. But triphala is that rare exception where it's both a cleanser and there is a rejuvenation in your cell that happens, because amalaki, which is one of the 3 fruits, is one of the it has one of the highest naturally occurring vitamin C content. And it's really uncanny. This vitamin C of amalaki can't be destroyed by heat. So it's one of the very rare forms of vitamin C. And it's very good for your eyes, as well as, how vitamin C is so good for your collagen, for your skin, it is such an anti-aging vitamin. And so amalaki, and then haritaki, which is that anulomana, very gentle laxative, cleansing your colon, and bibitaki, which is for kapha, to kind of dry out the excess mucus out of your system. So amalaki, bibitaki, haritaki, these are for your vata pitta kapha. And so we take that 2 tablets at night with either warm water or, just regular room temperature warm water, or hot water is fine. And then one more, the kind of all around cleansing herbal mixture that I recommend Ayurvedically. So those are two things herbally that you want to get. And then the khichdi mix. Great. So let's close with this kind of an intention setting, and kind of a kickoff for your new beginnings journey. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, I hope it's been a good hour, and wishing you a beautiful day. Namaste. Happy new beginnings.